Welcome everybody, David Wallach here, New View Safety Coach. Today we've got a special announcement from one of our channel partners, Investigations Differently, and we have Mark Alston here today, the Director of Investigations Differently, to talk about what that special announcement is. So Mark, before we get into that, how are you doing, mate?
Oh, excellent. Thanks, David. Yeah, just enjoying beautiful Queensland weather. I think it's low 20s over here in Brisbane. So I don't know what the weather's like over in West Australia, but yeah, sunny days and yeah, it's really
It's better
nice.
than that, mate. It's always better over here than what it is over there. That's the way it works. West is the best. That's what they say, isn't it?
Oh, well. You settled in well over there in West Australia. Settled in well.
All right, so what's this?
Shout out to all our West Australian friends.
Well, yeah. So what's the special announcement you've got for us, Mark?
Well, we announced yesterday that we're entering into a partnership for risk management and investigation services and training with Malcolm and the team from PSG. So we're really thrilled to announce that. Awesome. Yeah, we're very excited.
So explain a bit about why Investigations Differently chose PSG. PSG, for those people who are listening, stands for Practical Solutions Group. Is that correct, Malcolm?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and obviously we've got Malcolm here with us as well. So we know that there's a wide range of industries and organisations really acknowledge that they've got this issue with traditional investigation and risk management processes. They know they're not working. They know they're not getting the outcomes. There's a lot of people calling for change, particularly those who are into New View, Safety Differently, Safety 1 and 2 concepts, and that we could see that at the Global Safety Innovation Summit in Wollongong earlier this year. With Todd Conklin and Sidney Dekker and Zoe and a whole other host of people spoke, and we know that they were looking for help. And our organisation's been doing this for a long time. We've been involved in this. We launched in 2019, and we're only small. And we saw then the extent, these global organisations, we saw the extent that we needed help. If we wanted to get this message out there, if we wanted to get the innovation, and we wanted to start providing on a broader basis this assistance to organisations in broader industries, we needed help. I've known PSG. I first got involved with PSG probably 2010, 11, somewhere like that, when I was at Rio Tinto, and I did a lead Taproot course, 2-day Taproot course that they ran out. And they trained me to be a trainer for it. I knew the quality of the product they delivered and the service they delivered. I saw that firsthand from a consumer point of view. And Malcolm and I have kept in contact more recently as well, and including down in Wollongong, and also with Lachlan, who's part of the PSG group as well. And our values just seem to align. We have the same values. We have the same beliefs around safety, which is the most important thing. So, similar to yourself, David, you're passionate about the approach that we take. You're passionate about where the opportunities for success in taking this approach that we take. And Malcolm and his team really share those beliefs. They share our values. There's integrity, there's honesty, there's those good things you look for in a partner. They're quality driven, they're innovation driven, and they're client focused. So we recognize that we weren't big enough. We didn't have the capacity to influence broader industry like we wanted to. So we were reaching to increase our capacity internally, and we're also reaching to increase our how we can partner with other organisations to improve it. And when we're meeting with PSG, that just seemed to be for us that and we met with Malcolm a couple of times, and for us, it was a sort of no-brainer.
Right, okay.
The alignment's just there.
And to give people who aren't familiar with Australia as well a bit of context, when we're talking about the ability to service more clients in Australia, Mark Alston is based out of Queensland, which is the east coast of Australia, and Malcolm is based on the west coast with me over here. So we're talking a 4-5 hour flight between the two ends. So it's equivalent of from England to Egypt. It's a huge distance. So having Mark on the east there, and then having Malcolm on the west, that's what he's referring to when he's talking about being able to service larger clients here in Australia.
Not just in Australia. Not just in Australia. I mean, we're looking globally as well. So we've already got clients overseas that we deal with. I mean, I just spent the last 2 days with an international electronic manufacturing group based in America.
Gotcha.
Fortunately, I could do that from home this time. But we travel overseas, and it's the global interaction as well. So and PSG and Malcolm have like massive experience, not just on the west coast of Australia, but also across Asia over a number of years. And so, being able to partner with someone with that experience, that knowledge, for us, when it wasn't just anyone. There's plenty of people that work in Asia, but you probably couldn't count. Like there's just so few that also have such a similar belief set and value set that we trust to work with. So,
Awesome. Thanks there, Mark. Malcolm, hi. How you going, mate?
Very good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. We met up the other night at my Safety Differently book club here, didn't we? It's good to catch up with you, mate. Good to put a face to a name. I know we chatted online before, but well, that's Mark's side of the story. Let's hear from you, because obviously this is the partnership on both sides. What was it about this this whole proposal that Mark came to with that sounded intriguing to you? Why did you decide to partner with Investigations Differently?
Yeah, I suppose there's a few angles to it, and Mark gave a very complimentary and very, very nice introduction. So thank you, Mark. But I think at the heart and soul of it, as Mark pointed out, it's really about being client focused. We talk and work with a lot of clients across Asia and in fact across the world, and people are dealing with the same issues. Like Mark said, our history with Taproot, we found root cause analysis is a great tool but difficult to use. And at the end of the day, it's a great tool for people who really want to dig down and understand categories. Where it falls very, very short is having the right narrative or the right story out of the back end of it. People try to oversimplify. And I suppose from our perspective, we've been using HOC-based principles, I think, right back from 2008. And like everybody else, we struggled a bit with how can we make these things practical. What we really saw in the relationship is Mark has come up with some excellent practical tools that can really make a big difference inside organizations. Mark and I probably spoke during COVID, a few years ago, and sort of said, how can we work together? And we didn't really know, but it was quite interesting because we both went away and did our own thing for a while, but then we came back together naturally because when I spoke to a lot of people who had used the tools that Investigations Differently had come up with, they were telling me they were really making a difference. And we thought to ourselves, what's the point of PSG going away and trying to reinvent the wheel if we can find a partner who's already nailed it? And that's what Mark's done. Mark and the team have done an excellent job of building really practical tools that make a big difference. And I was meeting with a couple of clients yesterday, and as soon as I start to explain to them what the tools do, a lot of people said, I've kind of heard of that, but I don't know what that means. When I explained to them the questions that are prompted, how it makes a difference, straight away they were on board. So it's a very easy, and we've got a lot of good long-term relationships with organizations right throughout Asia. I mean, for people who don't know, David does, but people who don't know, Western Australia is in the most heavily populated time zone in the world. we've only got to go north from where we are and not too far, sort of east or west, and there's a lot of people. And as Mark said, there's a demand for this stuff. And if we're smart and work together, we can make a big difference. What really, I suppose, over the years, over 20 years of investigating, what really annoys me, if you want to call it that, is investigation has a very, very bad rap. And I think it has a bad rap because of the approaches that have been taken. To me, boiling it back down, all an investigation is an opportunity to stop and reflect and do things better. But we've made it so difficult. So why have we made it so difficult? We've got to go back and, as we said, undo some of that, unlearn some of those things, and go back to it's all about the people. And that's really at the heart and soul of our relationship. I would put it as we've partnered with other organizations in the past. Mark is like a brother to me, if we look at it that way. We get along well, and that's one of the things we decided when we did want to have a partnership. It was going to be more than just about business. It was about making a difference in industry. And we work across a lot of industries, so shipping, oil and gas, mining, like Mark does as well. But as Mark alluded to, we work across, we've done stuff in renewables. We were working in corrections last week with investigation differently. The fascinating thing for people who don't work across those industries is the problems or the opportunities, if you want to look at it that way, are the same everywhere. So really, really great to have some practical tools that really sit well with us. And we're not just going to rest on our laurels and say we've got the answers. We're going to develop things with clients as we go. And one of the things I like about the approach, which Mark, explained to us very early on, is it's a bespoke approach. You don't take the same approach to every organization. You use their language, their processes, and help them embed it the way that they work. That's very important. And that's very much how we've done business for years as well. I mean, personally, I've been a consultant since I was in my 20s. So someone in their 50s has been consulting that long. You learn a lot, but it's only as good as what you present to the last client. And what,
you're never in your 50s, Malcolm, are you? I would never have guessed, mate. No, you're so true. You're so true. The investigation side of things has got a bad rap, and I think it's because it's been so punitive. It's been so focused on attributing blame, finding that single point, which is usually the operator, and not learning anything else. And that, that causes a lot of fear, that causes a lot of anxiety, that causes a lot of stress. And it has been treated like a criminal investigation process as opposed to a learning opportunity for the organization. And I think once that narrative starts to change and you can talk to people about that, globally, wherever you are, obviously here in Australia and, clients overseas as well, as soon as you start to talk about that and shifting that narrative from a punitive base to a learning base, that's going to resonate with so many organizations that hopefully, they can start to learn more about what's actually going on in their organization. But it's having those tools, having the opportunity to be able to go, what do we do with this incident? Is there any opportunity to learn? Or is it a sprained ankle and no one's going to die from this? Let's put that aside and not waste as much time. Let's have a look at some of the incidents that we do have where we can actually make some operational improvements, because the price is already paid. The accident's already happened, isn't it? We may as well learn while we have the opportunity. I think that's the important thing there.
To me, a lot of that's been driven by control. We've tried to control the narrative, control the investigation, and control the events that were occurring. The more you try to control, the more something begins to control you. And if you don't get the right people involved at the right time, it doesn't work. And I suppose, having taught incident investigation for years and practiced it, what I always struggled with, and I'll put it in context, my background, I was a systems analyst. I used to go around organizations, understand how they worked, and create software to help them work. So my natural tendency was always to try and understand how people worked, because if I didn't understand how they worked, I couldn't help them. I couldn't give them the tools they needed. I've always used that philosophy. But what I used to find is teaching people to do root cause analysis. To me, that was just a tool to help me understand how people work, a framework. But when you add the control element to it, when you add people wanting to control the narrative very much and people wanting simple explanations, guess what? We had, and as you described, David, a punitive outcome. All we had was a lot of effort that was really restricting the ability of organizations to grow and learn. Because every organization I've worked with is always telling me they're a learning organization. And then I look for the learning behaviors, and what do we see? Very little.
People learn to keep quiet, because otherwise things are going to go bad for them.
The learned behavior is if I put my head up too high, it'll get taken off. So I think that, as we said, the opportunity in developing markets, particularly throughout Asia, is very exciting for us. Having worked a lot throughout the region, sort of from Indonesia right across to India, and overseas as well, with a lot of big multinational companies. What I've actually found is outside of Australia, particularly, people are thirsty for these things. In fact, people are thirsty for this approach in Australia, but when it comes to safety and talking about safety, people are thirsty for the knowledge and understanding and readily apply it. They readily want to apply it. It's really quite exciting to take it out and watch it flourish. That's all I would describe it does. It flourishes. This approach flourishes.
Yeah, right. Okay, cool. Thank you for that. I think we've touched most of the topics there, really, haven't we, with regards to why the both of you, what kind of impact is going to have on industry, both here in Australia and globally as well. Is there going to be any other announcements that are made, or is this literally it now? You guys are in a contract-based agreement, and that's it.
Well, we've got a handshake thing, Malcolm and I. Our hand is our word, and that's how we're basing our agreement on. We'll be increasing our capability as well internally from investigations differently, and we'll talk more about that next week. But look, I think to wrap it up, for us, what this means for our clients, there'll be increased capacity globally to deliver services. More excitingly, is that even a word?
It is now.
It is now. Yeah, let's just make it one. We're looking forward to delivering more innovation and more services. So working collaboratively, so more different types of services and more innovation. So that's what we're looking forward to. And a focus on assisting organisations operationalising HOP and other sort of new view concepts. I think that's what it means for our clients. For the industry, what we're hoping to achieve from this partnership and is more organisations in industries normalising and prioritising organisational learning, operational learning. That's what we want to see. And it would be more acceptable. So at the moment, there's a minority. The majority is still captured by our competitors with ICAM and other sorts of Taproot and other sort of methodologies. But we're hoping to change that dynamic, that paradigm sooner rather than later, and make it more acceptable. In fact, we want them to demand. We want to be able to service this demand that they have to move away by giving them a very acceptable scientific-based approach that they can hang their hats on and go, yep, this is a reliable way of doing it that fits with our, not only just our capability, but our capacity to learn. So that's what I'm excited about with the partnership and where we're going, including with partnership with you, David, at NewView Safety Coach, with Malcolm and Investigations Differently. It's exciting times ahead.
Awesome. Thank you for that. What about yourself, Malcolm? Any final words from you?
Yeah, we just look forward to getting out there and making this happen. We certainly will be ramping up the availability, as Mark said, for people to come along. And really what we're going to take a bit of a different, unique approach, I suppose. What we would say to potential clients is send along your HSE people with your operations people. Send them side by side so they can both learn that this new approach is not threatening, because when you ask people to change what they do, they obviously have to consider what they're already doing. And really what we find is when there's that discussion, particularly between the safety function, the operations function, they both have a desire for this approach because they can see the benefits. It's not,
Yep.
you know, the funny thing is we start out in safety, we start out with investigations, but it just, the biggest feedback we get during the courses is, hey, this is all about people. This is all about making sure, you know, our people are happy. And, you know, I think that was probably the best thing I've heard is people say, hey, once we roll this out, our people are actually happy. Our people actually feel valued, you know, so that's really important. Starting with a difficult topic like investigation, because as I said, it is almost a dirty word. People, as soon as I say we're doing an investigation, the heads drop. As soon as we say we're doing investigation training, the heads drop. But when we get to the end of it, it is so exciting to see them actually wanting to go out and try something different, wanting to go out and ask a few different questions, wanting to make a difference. That's really, really great. And we look forward to doing that.
And having that picture opened of, look, this isn't about just getting rid of an individual person. This is about systemic improvements within the organization, which actually go towards organizational efficiency, organizational improvements generally, service levels, retention levels. Everything improves when we learn more and we learn better when these events happen. I think that's what I see as well, really. But
I think just one last thing.
Sure.
Reminded me is the investigations differently approach. There's a whole philosophy behind it, and as Mark said, it's been researched. There's science behind it. There's a reason why you need to do things differently, and we set up quite a extensive framework or a different type of thinking which helps people make that transition as well. So it's not just about learning new skills. It's actually replacing some of the past habits we've had with better ones.
Yeah, sure. Awesome. Well, thank you both for that. Some exciting news from Investigation Different and PSG. So if you're watching this and you want to learn more, go to the description down below. There's going to be links through to Investigation Differently website and PSG website. Both those websites got contact details on them, or you can reach out to me. I can put you in contact with either gentleman. Obviously, depending on where you are, the availability of these two organizations as well, I'm sure they'll be able to service your needs between the two of them. So reach out, ask the questions, find out what they can do to help you on your journey. But as always, gentlemen, pleasure speaking to you, and thank you for coming on and sharing the good news.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Cheers.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.